Hi, this is Steve Onsman. I'm the pastor of Calvary United Church of Christ in Reading, Pennsylvania. I'm here again with the Wednesday Word for March 30th, 2022. So today's question comes from Sue Dorman. It's a long question. I might have to do more of it because it's just complicated. Why do some Christians stay in religious institutions where there is obvious evil? Some hide behind the phrase, because of my faith, when they actually tend to practice cafeteria-style faith. How do I respond to that statement? Okay, I'm going to just dent this a little bit, but I'm not going to get to much of it, I don't think. First, some of this has to do with research that's been done about cults and how changing our minds about the truth is very difficult. There's all kinds of mind theory stuff going on out there, and I think it really gives us some insight. And I think the psychology behind this is still being discovered. For a lot of people, it's they've given it's kind of like when you go to war, and you don't want to say the people who died didn't die in vain, so you keep at the war until you win or lose or whatever. You don't want to feel like you've wasted your time or that you were dumb about it, and it isn't. It's just that you have new information, right? But it's not. It's how we think about these things. There's a sense of exclusivity, that we're the only ones who love you. Used to be when I was in Cincinnati, there was a cult that was on campus there working at the University of Cincinnati, and they would love bomb people, right? They would get in there and you'd all be alone, you'd be sad, you'd be down, and you'd meet these nice friendly people who would introduce you to other people, and they wholesome and good stuff, and eventually this cult, at least, they would love bomb you. They would hear your life story, and then if you try to get out, they would say, first of all, nobody else loves you like we do. Secondly, we know all your secrets, and we still care about you. There's a whole lot of manipulation and guilt going on. Or we're the only ones who are going to heaven, or we're the only true church. That kind of manipulative nonsense is what keeps people stuck in places where they might want to get out. So a lot of times, like a student would have come from a small high school where they were a star athlete, and all of a sudden they're at this 40,000 student university, and they're a tiny fish in a giant pond, and so they're lost or confused or wanting meaning. Maybe the church or the group accepts the individual or fills in the gap where there's no belief system. So there's a lot of reasons why people stay. It's hard to shake your roots off, right? I mean, unless it's something massive, and even then, it's difficult to do. And so the other part of it is that, especially with cults, that they're pyramid organizations. So you go up in the organization as you bring more people in. It gives you a sense of worthiness, a sense of authority, a sense of knowledge. There's all kinds of things. At the root of justifying continued participation in a group that is shown that is not trustworthy, there are lots of issues. So I've heard people say this, where you say, well, why are you part of that organization when the leader has been doing these terrible things? And they'll say things like, well, no organization is perfect, or you're not supposed to judge someone's belief system. They rationalize that the organization is doing a lot of good. So stop picking on the small things. It's not all the church, or it's not all that group, and so it's a rationalization, and really, it's understandable. I mean, I disagree with my denomination's stance on Israel, for example. I'm not going to throw the whole thing away because of that, but I continue to try to work at that and try to let people see a little bit different view on it. I guess it matters how bad things are and how bad the thing is that is it evil? Are there sexual improprieties? Is there rape? Do people are the leaders stealing money? Is it based on a lie? Or do they just have different opinions? Have they created a setting that controls people's behavior through domination, coercion, manipulation? I mean, everything, when I preach, I coerce people, right? I'm trying to convince them of something that I think is true, and but I offer it to them. I don't say, if you don't believe this, you're an idiot. I just say, this is what I believe to be the right course of action. I mean, our congregation, when we became an open and affirming church, we lost people who left because they couldn't stand the idea that God might love LGBTQ people equally to others. These same arguments went over when there was racial disparities in churches and in religions. And so, did they consider that stance to be an evil stance? Because I certainly don't. I think it's what God wants. But, that's why this is such a complicated problem for all of us. So I just touched the surface, I think, of this question. And the problem is that we don't know what a person benefits from religion. I mean, they might secretly agree with the terrible things that we see happening and that we think are wrong. Like I said, I know I've had people leave my church for more conservative congregations because they don't like our welcome of other people. And of course, that is completely their choice, and that's between them and God. So this is all. I'm going to pick up a little bit more on it next time probably, but this is all I have for today. What do you think? If you want a question answered, send it to me. You could even send it anonymously. And keep safe out there because we're still in this pandemic over 2 years later. And have a wonderful day. I hope to hear from you soon. Bye.